The first thing that everyone should know and recognize in themselves is if they have character, and what I mean by that is if they have values, if they have beliefs, if they have things that they stand for and they have things that they stand against, then they have a brand.
Empathy builds the relationship, competence establishes a skill. Ultimately, branding is a business of trust.
If you don't demonstrate empathy for your customers, why would your customers want to work with you? And if you haven't demonstrated any empathy, you're just an unknown like everyone else.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the Making a Masterpiece podcast. And guys, what an honor. We have the wizard himself. Please welcome to our show, Ryan Chute. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Norbert. How are you?
I am very well, and man, it is such an honor to have you with us. It's not every day that a wizard of ads comes to your podcast and drops wisdom. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and I'm very grateful to be on the show.
Yes, thank you so much. Ryan, I know that branding, marketing, and advertising is like a universe in its own. And I'm very sure in my experience as well, not everybody loves to be in this world, and not everybody is attracted to this world. Sometimes people even think it's not a real job. But my first question would be, how did you meet with branding, and what made you love this industry, and why are you so passionate about it?
I first met it back in 25 years ago when I first read Roy Williams' books, and he has a trilogy called The Wizard of Ads, and his subsequent books, The Magical World of Wizard of Ads, and then The Secret Formulas of Wizard of Ads. And all of them are very short, easy reads per chapter. There's 100 chapters, they all about a page long, and really just deeply, quickly inject you into this universe of relational communication, or as normal people call it, communication. It's really just about figuring out how to talk to people in a more eloquent way, in a way that inspires and excites, that brings universes into reality, from the Bible to Don Quixote to any great novel or any great movie that you've watched, any great music that you've listened to, are all things that we think about and talk about at the Wizard Academy that really have us understand. And that's the second time, Norbert, when I really got connected. I'd grown up in a transactional world. I was in retail, and everything was a sale or an offer, a discount. It was convincing people to do stuff. There's manipulation. There's weaponized fear, shame, and guilt. There's all the things that you'd expect to be in an awful lot of environments. And really what you recognize is that it doesn't have to be that hard. And that's what I recognized in 2015 after spending time with Roy and then being so enamored that I just kept going back and back. 2 years later, he was teaching another class we had just finished. I sent him an email and I found his personal one and got to him and said, "Hey, can we talk?" 3 words. And we did. For hours and hours, many different calls. He invited me to become one of his partners. And that was the beginning of this journey that I'm on today. And that was in 2017.
Wow. That's really amazing. I purposefully asked that because I know not a lot of people understand the power. And I say the power because there is power in advertising and in branding. And you guys are like the wizards because you really are. You wield influence in that part of communicating. Now, let me just go a little bit of a backstory about how before your life in the Wizard of Ads, because I've seen some of your interviews and I've known a little bit of your story. And can you just please tell us a little bit more about your personal story of how it also weaves, because I feel like your personal story fuels so much passion into what you're doing now. Was there any kind of rock bottom moment that made you realize, hey, okay, this is where I need to be and this is what I really want to do?
Yeah, it was about that time in 2017 when I was suicidal. I was ready to pack it all in. I had a little baby at home. I had huge frustrations in the world that I was in. I had just come back from Australia, New Zealand, where I was hugely successful in the campaign that we had developed there and built out. And it just all seemed like I was going backwards, and I was trying to find footing in my life, and it was getting to me. It was really wearing me down. That was really where I knew I had to do something significant. And that's when I just went back and leaned into the issues and really just started looking at myself and wondering who I was as a person and what I wanted. I didn't want to be transactional. I didn't want to be a high friction boss. I wanted to be an inspiring and transformational leader. I wanted to get out of my own way as a business person to grow my business, and I couldn't keep doing it transactionally. And I didn't realize all of that at the time. I just realized that I needed something fundamentally different than what I had been doing all along for me to get a different result.
Okay, wow. So that really takes a lot of humility to even acknowledge that and to pivot at that moment. What was the very first step that you did to pivot to, okay, I'm going to make things better? What was the very first thing that you did?
I wrote down all the things that I wanted to make better and how I wanted to see them. I wanted to compare it. One of the most powerful things in this world is proximity, and putting the bad against the good, the pros against the cons, the things that you don't like and the things that you do, the things that you want to see, the things that you don't have. They start to create a much stronger relationship to what matters. And that was the very first thing for me. Now, that's true in all kinds of things that we do in marketing, advertising, motivation, persuasion, but it's true in life, right? It's here's what's good, here's what people like, here's what people don't like. And I wrote down the things that I was struggling with. Strangely enough, equally enough, I was writing down the things that I thought were wrong with me. What was I doing to get in the way? What are the things that I could label and acknowledge were problematic in myself? And I haven't resolved all of those things by any stretch. I don't think any human being ever will, but it gave me beginnings of things to work on. And 8, 9 years later, I'm looking back and recognizing traumas that I didn't know I had, and limiting beliefs and cognitive biases that I baked into my DNA from the life I led. And I'll tell you, surviving or thriving, you're baked in the brew that you live in, right? And you're going to take on that flavor. And even when you elevate and work hard and get past it and do things different, you're still in struggle, right? You're still baked with that same flavor, right? It's still on you, and it's effort every day. It's not a question of whether or not I'm going to get past it. It's always going to be with me. But with that, it makes me that weakness, that flaw, that vulnerability, that makes me stronger. And I have to recognize and lean into that.
That's really, really inspiring. I love it when that your first step was being aware and just being honest, being authentic, being genuine with who you are. And I love it that you did not stop, and thank God that you didn't, because years later now you're really helping a lot of businesses and brands become household names. And that will lead to my next question, because a lot of our masterpiece makers and listeners are small to medium entrepreneurs. They probably are freelancers, they have a small creative business or a private practice, and they also dream to become household brands. And for some reason, I know the struggle that sometimes they immediately disqualify themselves because, yeah, it's not for us, it's only for the big guys. I'm already struggling enough with delivering our product, which I truly believe in, how much more communicating and advertising. And this is just a whole different world to me. What will you say to entrepreneurs who have this kind of thinking, that they just automatically disqualify themselves because this world, branding, and as I said, is really not their territory? How would you encourage the entrepreneurs in this area?
I think the first thing that everyone should know and recognize and give themselves permission to recognize in themselves is if they have character. And what I mean by that is if they have values, if they have beliefs, if they have things that they stand for and they have things that they stand against, then they have a brand. And it's that brand that will elevate them to the highest levels if they choose to lean into it. But that also means recognizing what to leave out, because we can't be all things to all people. It's okay to lose people. It's okay to not speak their language. Some of those people will still come and work with you or shop with you or whatever the case might be. But people are looking for purpose-driven brands, for values-based brands. Now, let me be really clear about the difference between values and beliefs.
Yes, I wanted to ask that, but can you help us define these things?
Yeah, this is where it often gets muddy and gray because so many people like to paint their own picture of it, and we're sold on this notion of somebody else's idea of what it is. And today I'm making my pitch for it, and it's based off of an awful lot of well-founded research for the last 40 or so years, not only internally with my teams, but with Roy and other partners, and just an astounding amount of research that kind of backs it up. Beliefs are beautiful things, right? When Simon Sinek said, you've got to start with why, in his first Puget Sound TED Talks that has bad audio and all the other things that go along with it that's been watched many millions of times, he didn't say why 37 times, but he did say believe or beliefs 37 times. When you believe, what you believe is why you do what you do. Right? To extend that further, Francis Frey, Harvard professor, now passed away, Francis said, a person does not change their behaviors until you change their beliefs, right? Or they change their own beliefs, of course. And ultimately what that means is that everything orients in a belief. Here's the truth about beliefs, though. For every belief, there is an equal and opposite belief. For every truth, there can be an equal and opposite truth, a profound truth. Justice and mercy are both profoundly true beliefs, right? We believe in justice, we believe in mercy. When you're the accused murderer, you want mercy. When you're the victim's family, you want justice. But what happens when the victim's family murders the accused murderer? Now who wants what? See, these are beliefs. These are things that are profoundly easy to change depending on which side of the table you're on, because there's no decision between two good things. There's only a decision between two good, right? There's only a decision between two bad. Two positives have to be reconciled, two negatives. But a positive, negative, that's easy, right? I'm picking the positive every time, right? So this is why all of this ends up being this weird fabric in our universe of what we stand for and what we don't stand for. So it's all about what the commander intends to tolerate. This is in the military known as commander's intent. And really what we're trying to get to here is that values are the things that you do when it's inconvenient for you. Values are the hill you die on. Values are the thing that you're going to stand for. Values are the self-imposed consequence that you impose upon yourself when you don't do what you said you were going to do. That's what has people follow you, because now they know you stand for something. That's what makes people demand that you grow as a brand. And then you have to let the rest of the world know, which is what we specialize in at Wizard of Ads, telling the most amount of people for the lowest price that you matter, so that when they need the thing that you sell, they already have you in mind.
Years ago, I started a personal journey to help provide professional creative communication solutions to brands born out of faith and big dreams, but running on limited resources. Before finding my true calling in ministry, I was an advertising professional, and I always felt frustrated whenever a great idea, product, service, or community initiative didn't take off simply because branding wasn't a priority. I've seen too many faith-oriented entrepreneurs and nonprofit leaders make this mistake because they don't have access to professional creative services, or they are put off by the high cost and consumerist approach. I decided to use my experiences in mainstream advertising and in ministry to bridge the gap. The result? is a 6-module branding course that can help transform brands, effectively tell their stories, reach their audience, and help them achieve their goals. Teaching this to business owners and leaders, I've seen it transform confusing concepts into real brands that cut through the noise and make real everyday impact. I believe that brands can be a blessing to the world, solving problems and easing burdens, fueled by passion and driven by purpose. That is what we aim to do with Masterpiece Kingdom Brands. If this resonates with you and you're ready to uncover your Kingdom brand, let's connect. Sign up for the Masterpiece Kingdom Brand Building course today. Beautiful. Beautifully said. I love it because it makes it real. It makes it easy to understand, and there's no fluff. It's not a fluffy word or term, but it's really literally the values that you represent, the things that you stand for. And this is what people are looking for in brands and businesses.
And to put an exclamation on that, Norbert, yes, what they stand for, but also what they impose a consequence on when they don't do what they stand for. Right? Otherwise, it's just a belief. If you'll just change your mind and do the thing that's convenient for you, because we do absolutely stand for it. We do have deep beliefs that we believe that we're going to do this in this situation. And then the situation happens and you run the other way.
Oh. Yeah. Is it possible to give like a little example of this one when you were not able to deliver something? What kind of values? Like,
I'll give you two.
How does it look like in a brand setting?
Yeah. So I'll give you one outside of a brand setting. The one is soldiers running towards battle, right? When you're advancing on the enemy and you're getting shot at, right? That takes programming. That takes a belief that you're going to resolve this in the way that needs to be resolved to survive and get through this and to fulfill the objective, take that hill, so to speak. The second one is in one of my companies at Fix It Frankie. When we don't show up on time, we pay a customer $1 a minute for every minute we're late, up to 60 minutes. So this is a consequence when we go, we didn't do the thing that we said we'd do. We do respect your time. We respect it enough. Here's up to $60, depending on what happened.
Wow.
Right? Now, if we're 36 minutes late, we're going to give them $37, whether they buy something from us or not, because we made a promise to them that we didn't fulfill, and we do respect their time. If we didn't, then we wouldn't be any better than anybody else out there, and we're trying to be better than everyone else out there. So we hold ourselves to a standard, and then we pay for it when we don't.
Wow. That is true gold. I think it is a mindset, and it is a culture that brands need to adapt. And I'm very sure not everybody is open to that. And
I love that you said that, Norbert, because you've just hit the essence of brand. So my partner and friend, Ray Sagern, his initial concept was the thing that had me want to be a part of the Wizard of Ads. And it was story, experience, and culture. And he says the stories that we tell are about our culture and the buying experiences that we have. And to that end, what we're talking about is the ads that we write represent how the employee experience and the buying experience are in our business. So I said, that means that the culture is the brand because everything orients to the culture, because there's one leader, but there's a whole bunch of people doing the thing. And if you're the only one doing the thing right now, you're doing the thing that you intend to do, right? And if you have 10 other people, you really want them to do the thing you intended to do. But now you have to trust that with 10 people. So the culture becomes everything, what you stand for and what you stand against, the things you tolerate from your people and the things that you do to inspire them to do their work. When you make it easier for sellers to sell, you make it easier for buyers to buy. So there's intentionality behind the business that you run. That's culture. Right? All of the elements of communication inside your business are culture. The culture dictates the buying experience. Simple as that. The employee and the buying experience dictate the advertising we can run. And that story is either inspirational, pedestrian, or incongruent, we'll say, with the untrue to the reality of what they experience when they get into the business. So we want to be as true to the business as we can, because that's how you get customers to come back.
Wow, you nailed it there. When I was working in mainstream advertising a few years back, it was very important. Of course, the creative work is paramount in an ad agency. It's really very important. And when you get awards, when your messaging is noticed with award giving bodies and all these amazing things, it makes you stand out. But I think it also gives pressure to the small business owners to try to sound like that. And I know in your experience, because you guys work with different kinds of brands, what can you say to our listeners about identifying and filtering what is fluff and what is authentic value as a brand? If you're, let's just say, for example, you're a small bakery and you cannot go against the big ones and the big guys who have the budgets, but you also don't want to downplay your product. What is your attack on being authentic versus also being fluffy just to look pretty?
Yeah, so we call that cute and clever. Cute and clever never solves the problem. It has to be what I like to call campaignable. Well, if it doesn't have a story arc, if it doesn't have a narrative arc, if it doesn't have a character arc, by that, the way that it starts is not the way that it ends. So think about the blockbuster videos that you see. Every summertime, we see Transformers and Predator and every other kind of blow them up, shoot them up, the dramas, the comedies, and they all follow this path. And the people at the beginning of the movie are the same person as they are at the end of the movie, just a bunch of stuff happened to them in between. Yeah. That's fluff, right? That's all just
yeah.
Entertainment for the sake of entertainment. But they never win Oscars. They never win Oscars. They never win anything of any consequence because they're just regurgitated garbage in a different way. They are great for the thing that they're meant to do, which is entertain. We appreciate that. What's far more valuable, the ones that win Oscars are the ones where the characters at the beginning are different by the time they finish.
Yeah.
That something has happened to them. Everything Everywhere All at Once was an extraordinary movie. If you haven't watched it, everyone should watch it and understand and see and recognize the insanity that goes on in it. Certainly lots of action and things going on. But there's an evolution to the character. And while subtle at first, very few people really pick up on that nuance. These are the reasons why they won so many awards. It's because they're profoundly different and have so much different impact than the blockbusters as they were, right? Yeah. So one is shout loud and draw a crowd, and they have the box office hits, right? The Oscars don't attract as many people because it requires a little bit more intimacy. It requires a little bit more commitment to the actual story to buy into it and enjoy it. It's not going to be as dramatically novel. Now, Everything Everywhere All at Once, I pick on because it's a brilliantly well done film. It had a little bit of both, just to tick the boxes of getting more people through the box office. At the end of the day, these are the things that we look at. So that's the kind of the big answer, right? That's a giant answer that I just gave you. Ultimately, when we narrow it down to people, to small brands, to freelancers even, this is about demonstrating two things first, right? The question is, how are we going to demonstrate these two things? And therein lies the rub with creativity. The two things that you need to demonstrate, and the very first thing that has to happen before the second, is how you demonstrate your empathy. How you demonstrate your empathy for your customers. If you don't demonstrate empathy for your customers, why would your customers want to work with you? And if you haven't demonstrated any empathy, you're just an unknown like everyone else. I get, 75, 100 different people telling me they're going to generate me leads on LinkedIn. They've come across my profile on LinkedIn. They all get deleted. I don't even look at them anymore. They just get deleted by an employee of mine. I don't even have to worry about that anymore because it's nonsense, because they don't stand out. Same thing with emails. People telling me they want to buy my business, and people that are telling me about SEO, and people, but none of them have actually done anything of any relevance that would have me paying attention to them. And I don't mean advertising. Just a single sentence that says, hey, I noticed this on your website. You might want to change it. And I guarantee you there's a typo on my website, because I don't know a website that doesn't have a typo somewhere. And I'm just picking on that one idea, right? Show empathy to break the seal. Show empathy to let people know that you're not so bad. Now, in an actual selling situation, you can do this on videos and on, Facebook posts and YouTube videos. And if you have a phone, you have the ability to communicate with the world today. Now there's ways that get attention and appeal to the lowest common denominator, which unlock the door to the customers that you're actually looking for. And then there's just choosing to talk directly to the people that you care about talking to so that you can have them actually pay attention to you, and you're going to talk to way less. You're never going to go viral. You're also going to have a harder time getting in front of them, but you're going to be highly relevant for the thing that they care about. So you have to pick those paths and figure that out. Just to put a bow on that, if you say something that first resonates with them, to say, this person gets it, right? This person gets it. Then you can move on to the second thing, which is competence, right? If you have empathy and competence, you have the foundations of trust. Those are the two key ingredients to build the mortar of trust.
That's so true. I couldn't agree more. Empathy builds the relationship, competence establishes the skill and the product, and then it ultimately gives trust. And that's, and ultimately branding is a business of trust.
Think of your brand like you think of your reputation, because your brand is your reputation. Your brand has a reputation, just like you, the person, Norbert, you have a reputation, and Ryan has a reputation. And I have a good reputation in some people's eyes, and I'm a bit irreverent in other people's eyes, and I'm a bit insufferable to other people's eyes. And I'm okay with all of those things because I'm true to myself. I'm authentic, and I know that as a human being, I'm here to help people and going to serve at the highest level. But I can only do that for people who want to listen and learn. I rarely open my mouth until such time as I have said a thing that I really understand enough. And I'm okay to adapt if I don't understand it enough, if we're having a conversation, a dialogue that allows me to adapt, because I believe that adaptation is far more important than being the smartest guy in the room or the strongest guy in the room.
Amazing, amazing. Ryan, I do have one more question. And I think while you're telling the story and how our conversation escalated, it just really inspired me so much about how powerful branding is and how important the role that brand strategy people play in the life cycle of a business, of a brand, and of organizations. This is something that you've developed and you've really learned over the years and you've established. Now, my question would be, given the knowledge that you have now and the experience that you've had in the last 10 years or so, if you could talk to the Ryan back in 2017, in that lowest moment of your life, if you could just go back to time and encourage yourself, what would you tell yourself?
And Norbert, that is a great question. That is a really great question. If I was looking at that today, one, I would be really saying less is more, first and foremost, that it's about what you leave out that matters more than what you put in. It's not about telling everything or being everything to everyone. It's about being true and authentic to yourself and focusing in on the people that you want to serve at the highest level. There's lots of people that deserve to be served, but at the end of the day, you have to pour your energy and effort into something where you're going to be above average. And that's really truly Albert Einstein's belief in genius. It's not that he's smarter than anyone, he was, but he's said that it's not that I'm smarter than anyone. It's that I spent more time with the problem than anyone else did. And therein lies the power in these niche brands and these companies who are trying to achieve something. The second thing I would say is be true to yourself. Be absolutely true to yourself. Lean into the things that you love and build a system around caring for people. In 2017, I would have whispered the word frictionless into his ear. I would have said, look for ways to remove friction at every level of your life. Friction is the thing that is causing you to not go as fast as you want to go. And it's by personal design and by the impact that you have on others slowing you down because they're not participating at the same level as you want to go at, are the things that slow the flywheel of business down. Remove that friction, let them speed up so that you can speed up, lighten the weight, the load of the flywheel, balance the flywheel, get that flywheel cooking at a level that you would never, ever expect. And that's your business. That's the progress and growth of your business. It will go at the speed that you allow it to when you remove friction. And that could be the bumps from rust, or that could be the tension that you've put on from the brakes. That could be all kinds of different things that I get quite deep into as I finish up my book and get that out there. Yeah. It's these things that are slowing us down. And in the early days, don't try to be the formal army. Don't try to be the big company that does the big company things. That will bankrupt you. And it's not going to be the thing that solves a problem. Be the guerrilla army. That's what guerrilla marketing is all about. Now, most people don't understand guerrilla marketing for what it really is, but guerrilla marketing is like being a guerrilla rebel. It's about winning over the community that you're trying to win over and have them supply you with the resources to grow into a formal army, i.e. the big brand.
Wow. Amazing. I'm sure that Ryan in 2017 would definitely be more pumped.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. Ryan, it's been a very inspirational and encouraging conversation with you. I know our masterpiece makers would love to hear more and learn from you. How can they contact you and where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm on all the socials at Wizard Ryan Chute, Chute. And you can find me at ryanchute.com. And my website for home services is wizardofads.services. That's a place where people can go in and see what frameworks we do to help out build brands.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ryan, for joining us. And Masterpiece Makers, there you have it. Being true to ourselves, empathy, and competence, a mark of excellence in branding. And again, thank you for joining us today in another episode of Making a Masterpiece, wherein we are truly committed and passionate in building your faith and inspiring your business. Till the next episode. Bye, guys.